Hey guys, so when I asked you if you wanted an Ed and Lorraine Warren scandals video, overwhelmingly everyone said yes. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Now this is not me coming at them or like trying to attack them or expose them or anything. These are just things that are online. It's not my calling them out or anything. It's just other people, skeptics, have found some inconsistencies in some of their storytelling. So I've always been kind of a skeptic of anyone who claims to be clairvoyant or a medium or something like that. I don't know what it was exactly. I saw a video online like over a year ago, and they were talking about a case that the Warrens worked on and how it was actually fabricated for court reasons, which we'll get into. And that got me thinking, what else have they possibly lied about? Obviously the Warrens are made popular by movies like The Conjuring, Amityville Horror, even though they don't make an appearance in that. So a little background on Ed and Lorraine Warren. They were a married couple. Lorraine is 90 years old, still alive today. Ed, however, passed away in 2006 at the age of 79. Lorraine claims to be a medium and a clairvoyant, and Ed was a self-professed demonologist. According to them, they've investigated over 10,000 cases of the paranormal or something related. As I mentioned a couple movies before, there's so many movies, TV series, documentaries based on their work, including over 17 films in the Amityville horror series alone, which I'm kind of thinking after seeing that we should do an Amityville horror series on my channel. So a lot of people have investigated their cases and found that a lot of them are completely made up or just extra fabricated to, you know, make them sound better. What's interesting though is why they would possibly do it. What is their motive? Because they technically don't charge people for their services, but they have sold like 1 million books. So, I mean, although they didn't charge people to come into their house and kind of investigate the case, they did, however, make money off of being one of the most popular couples or popular mediums in the country, as well as being lecturers and authors. So we're going to talk about 4 of their cases that fascinate me the most and are probably some of their most popular because of popular movies that came out inspired by them. I could do a part 2 if you want with more kind of obscure cases and what's been called out regarding those, but these ones I feel like are most interesting because everyone pretty much knows about them, and it's basically proving that they're not telling the truth. We're gonna start with the one that started this all for me, which is the Amityville case. So if you've seen any of the movies, you know kind of the backstory to what happened in the Amityville house, which took place in Long Island, New York. So the DeFeo family was the first one that lived there, and Ronald DeFeo murdered his entire family in the middle of the night. He claimed that he heard voices in the house telling him to do these things, and then the Lutz family came in after, obviously, he went to prison or whatever. They came in, bought the house at a decent price, and they started to experience some paranormal things as well. So there's a lot of statements that came out about this saying that it was actually not as accurate as they were saying in their book and in the movie as it was portrayed in the movie that came out in 1979. So DeFeo's lawyer actually came forward and claims that he, Kathy, and George Lutz consumed 4 bottles of wine and had a creative writing session about what kind of thing could go into writing a horror book. So let's just put that into perspective. The guy who killed his whole family, his lawyer met up with the Lutz family who moved in after the murders and drank a lot of wine and then decided what sounds like a horror book. And they came up with this whole thing. And basically what I have read, I'll get to the Warrens in a second, they do come in here. What I have read is that it was extra fabricated so that DeFeo could plead insanity. So the Warrens were hired to do like an overnight sleepover at this house with a TV crew, and they filmed it. It was aired on television, and this is what really pushed them into their career and made them really popular. Lorraine said that she had sensed great malevolence in the house and that it was actually demons that were in the house. They claimed this photograph was proof of that, which that could just be, you know, anyone. One thing that I've heard, I can't remember my source for this, so I apologize. This is just hearsay from me, something that I read online or saw in a video, that they actually hired the Warrens to make up the fact that there were demons in the house so that DeFeo could plead insanity. So that's what I've heard, speculation about this case. And when I heard that, first of all, I've always not necessarily believed in the case because I don't believe in demons or ghosts or anything, but because of the movie and the real life story, I actually did believe that he believed that there were demons. And I thought it was interesting that the Lutzes came in and they experienced similar things, but I thought it was just like a movie and that wasn't really what happened in real life, and it wasn't, but they claimed that it was. And the Warrens cemented that, and basically, I don't know if they were paid off at all by the lawyer, but the fact that they kind of drank a lot and were coming up with, you know, interesting things and scary things about the house does put a little like question into your brain, like how much of that story was actually real and why did the Warrens further cement that if there probably weren't demons in the house. I don't know. Now this whole video is coming from me, which is a very big skeptic. I don't believe in demons or anything. So just take that with a grain of salt. If you do believe in it, maybe some of this evidence could, is true for you. It proves that it is true. None of it proves it for me, so that's just where I'm coming from, but this is my channel. I give my opinion. That's what we're doing today. So if you want to share your opinions about the Warrens or any of their cases that have, not proven to be false, but have been investigated and found out that they're a little bit fabricated, leave your opinions down below, please. Next, we're going to be talking about the Perron family case, which is also known as the Conjuring movie. So Lorraine Warren and one of the daughters that was portrayed in the film claimed that although the film was a little bit, overproduced as far as what actually happened in real life, because it is Hollywood, it is a movie, I can respect that. They said mostly it was very accurate to real life events that occurred with this family. So what's funny is the current owner of the house, Norma Sutcliffe, actually sued Warner Brothers because of this movie, because there was a constant influx of people just coming to take photos and things. She also, when she saw the movie and heard what the family said and the Warrens confirmed, she actually said that a lot of those facts that they presented were in fact not true. She actually produced a video, which I will link down below if you want to look into that, kind of showing different aspects of what is actually wrong with this case. Next, we're going to be talking about the Snedeker family haunting, otherwise known to us as A Haunting in Connecticut, the film. I had no idea this movie was inspired by a case by the Warrens, although apparently very inaccurate to what happened in the actual case. Lorraine Warren was quoted saying, "It's embarrassing. Do you know the amount of time and effort that we put into that case? Do you know how many meetings with the clergy we had to finally bring closure to the family?" So what's interesting also about the Warrens is they're very Catholic, and many of the people that they helped were also Catholic. So I don't know if they had like a bias towards people of the same faith because they believed it to be the one true faith. And I don't know exactly how many, like what the percentage is of the cases that they helped, but it is an interesting fact when you bring religion. Obviously religion's involved in this because Catholic demons, But I wonder if they ever were a little bit, turned away from the families that were not Catholic, who maybe didn't believe the same things that they did, and they thought maybe it was just ghosts and not demons. So when Lorraine explains the story of what actually happened with the Snedeker family, it sounds exactly like Haunting in Connecticut to me, at least the beginning tales of it. Maybe it's a little bit different, although I don't know if this is portrayed in the film, but it did say, she said that the morticians in the basement, if you don't know the backstory of the movie, so there's a boy who has cancer and they buy a really cheap home to move closer to the hospital so they don't have to drive for hours every time he needs to go to the hospital. So the house was a former funeral home, and Lorraine states that the morticians were rumored to be necrophiliacs, basically, which I don't know if that was portrayed in the movie. I don't believe it was. They did collect the bodies and do weird things with them and cut off their eyelashes and like eyelids and things, but I don't know if they did. It's been a while since I've seen that movie. Now what's weird about this one, okay, so they wrote a book called In a Dark Place, The Story of a True Haunting, which is about the Snedeker haunting, that was portrayed in the movie. It's about that backstory, right? It's credited as written by Ed and Lorraine Warren, Carmen Reed, Al Snedeker, and Ray Garton. Now Garton is a horror novelist hired to help shape the Snedeker story. Now, why would you need a horror author to come in and help make it scarier if it's already scary and true? And while the author, Garton, was interviewing the different family members of the Snedeker family, he said that their stories didn't line up. So he went to Ed Warren and said, you know, they're not all adding up to me. They can't keep their stories straight. And this is what Ed said to him. Oh, they're crazy. You've got some of the story. Just use what works and make the rest up. Just make it up and make it scary. I think this is motivated by the fact that Ed and Lorraine Warren made most of their income from the books that they sold, that their names were slapped on. Now, this next part, I don't mean to demonize anyone who has a drug or alcohol problem, but the family did have a drug and alcohol problem, and so a lot of people are chalking up the fact that they experienced weird things in the house to said problem. And finally, we're going to talk about the Enfield Poltergeist, which is known to us as The Conjuring 2, the Enfield Poltergeist. So one of the original investigators, named Guy Leon Playfair, claimed that the Warrens actually had nothing to do with this case, which is weird because if you've seen The Conjuring 2, they are the main stars of the film. Like, they're investigating the whole thing. He says that they showed up uninvited, stayed only for a day, and alleges that they manufactured their own paranormal evidence simply to make money out of it. There's a whole interview I will link down below with Playfair and his, you know, reenactment, kind of the storytelling of what happened actually with the Warrens. This is one of his quotes from that interview. The interviewer says, "I'm sure you're familiar with Ed and Lorraine Warren at their research and work. Have they ever worked along with the Society for Psychical Research," which is what he does. And he says, "All I can remember is Ed Warren telling me that he could make a lot of money for me out of it. So I thought, well, that's all I need to know from you, and got myself out of his way as soon as I could." So the theory is, why would they just make this movie out of a case that they weren't even involved in? Was it because they just wanted to continue the money-making series of The Conjuring? Because let's be real, those are pretty good movies and they make a lot of money in the box office. The truth is, though, that Warner Brothers didn't own any of the rights to the real cases, and they faced a lawsuit saying that they could not make any sequels. He did sell them, however, the rights to the film, but he had to, or I should probably tell you who this is. His name is Tony DeRosa Grund Evergreen. What a name. He has to be cited as a producer on each film that they use the Warrens cases, and they also have to buy the case. So they have to pay him a large sum of money in order to use this in the film, which they are, I guess, copyrighted. Yeah, so that's kind of a background into some of the cases that just don't add up as far as why they were turned into movies or their actual participation in them, and what was actually made up information, like entirely made up stuff just to make money. So all of this just seems kind of sketchy to me, so you can make your own opinion from all this information, and this is all just stuff found online and hearsay from people who have worked with them in the past. So is it really true? We don't really know, but are they really telling the truth? We don't know that either. There's no hard factual proof from the Warrens at all for any of their cases. So we kind of just have to believe them, and they have proven in multiple situations that they are not telling the truth, so why are we going to believe them for all the other 10,000 cases? That's my spiel on the Warrens and my beliefs on them, which I love the movies and stuff, but I'm a huge skeptic about them. I'd love to hear your thoughts and any other information you have about any of the Warren cases down below. I hope you enjoyed this kind of different video from me, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.